It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are coming to you from San Diego County. We are joined by Tasha Boerner Horvath. She is a candidate for the Encinitas City Council. And I want to speak with you about how you got involved in politics. It's an interesting path, and it goes through your children's school.
That's very correct.
Tell us about Paul Ecke Central Elementary.
Yes, so 4 years ago, my husband and I moved to Encinitas with our two young children. My family's lived in the city for over 90 years.
Nice.
So I understand people who've been there for a long time, as well as people who have just moved there. And so my son was going to school, and we realized how difficult it was with traffic.
Right.
And traffic was such a problem. Kids were almost getting hit every week. Our crossing guard has had her foot run over twice by cars refusing to stop in the crosswalk.
And it's specifically Vulcan Avenue. I think it's relevant. So give us a sense of what that looks like.
So on Vulcan Avenue, well, it's changed due to our advocacy.
What it did look like.
Previously, it was a dirt shoulder on the side of a road that was held up by a board. And cars would park there, and kids would have to weave in and out of these cars and opening doors and traffic going really fast because it's, a lot of cut-through traffic for cars coming off the 5. And, it was very dangerous. And so we got together as a team and we said, it's not going to be a question of if a kid will die. Right. It's a question of it's going to be your kid or my kid. And that crystallized really the community to come together and collaborate to find a good solution.
But here's the problem, Tasha. You know this better than I. To get City Hall to move, and I mean metaphorically speaking, especially on traffic. I mean, they have to do traffic studies, and it could take 10 years to get anything done. But apparently you don't mess with Tasha Boerner Horvath because it got done pretty quickly.
Well, I didn't think it was quick. The first thing we wanted was a stop sign.
Right.
And that's where actually people started noticing me is because I got a stop sign in within 6 months, which was a long time for me. I mean, it was 6 months of dangerous, dangerous things. And people said, well, we've been wanting the stop sign for 20 years. Right. And then that's where I noticed, that I had something that was really valuable for the city of Encinitas. And that's because I can see where things are going and I know how to get there.
But how did you get City Hall to move? I mean, look, I know that you're a political scientist, and so you kind of understand the machinations, but academia is one thing, God bless you. Working day to day is a little tricky.
So I think what it was is we collaborated, and I think that's a core of how I operate, is we brought together the teachers, the administration, the school district, the traffic staff at City Hall, and we started prioritizing what are the things that we could do as a school, what are the things that we need to collaborate with the district on, and what are the things where we really needed the help from City Hall. So we were doing our part, and that engenders a large amount of support to really move forward. And I called City Hall every week to make sure everything got done.
What about funding, though? Because that becomes the key issue.
And that was a key issue because the project was originally scheduled to be $100,000, and there was a couple miscalculations, and it ended up being $450,000.
So did you raise funds? Did you turn to the residents? Did you turn to the county, the state?
The city, I think, realized at this point how important it was because it was really, Paul Ecke Central was the only school that had a dirt shoulder on one of its sides and no drop-off and pickup lanes. So what we got the school district to do was cede part of their land to the city in return for the improvement. So we now have a queuing lane, we have a parallel parking lane, we have a sidewalk. And I have to tell you, my daughter started kindergarten this year. And on the first day, we parked at the park, and then we walked into school. And I almost cried, not because my kindergartner started school, but for the first time in the history of Paul Ecke on this side of school, kids were walking and biking to school safely. And that's how I got involved, and it went on from there. I started becoming a planning commissioner.
And let's talk about that because, look, it's one thing to join, the Parks and Rec Commission. It's a nice, fluffy commission. You can, do grand openings. The Planning Commission, you're like fuel to the fire. I mean, you're jumping right in to the most controversial commission of all.
Yes. Well, and I appreciate all of our Parks and Rec commissioners. They do a great job.
I love them, and God bless them. And I'm jesting, but still.
So the Planning Commission, I got involved because the city is trying to come into compliance with state law for the housing element update, what's on the ballot in November, Measure T. And so I had gone to a community dialogue session. We actually did like 140 different meetings.
For our viewers, let us understand, let them explain the situation. State law requires that cities, municipalities, counties provide a whole variety of housing options. in terms of income levels. And
they require the zoning of it. They don't require the building of it.
Thank you for that correction.
And so in Encinitas, we don't have sufficient zoning for low income and very low income housing. And it's called the State Affordable Housing Law, but it only requires not the provision of affordable housing. It requires you to zone for 30 units per acre. They have a proxy that they use for that. And so the city has tried several times to come into compliance. And we're the only city in North County or in San Diego County that's out of compliance. And so I had gone to a community dialogue session and I looked at that and I said, well, there's a core of complying with state law that's valuable. There's a core of providing housing diversity so we can move people from rental situations into ownership situations. And there's a value in providing just different housing options for different people who want to do different things for seniors and stuff.
But let's be realistic. I mean, Encinitas is a beautiful community, coastal, well-heeled, and I'm sure there's a lot of NIMBYism, not in my backyard. And so as you're walking and talking as part of your city council run, is Measure T raising the ire of some of the constituents?
There are some people who are definitely against Measure T.
Right.
In Encinitas, we had a proposition several years ago called Prop A, which said any land use changes go to a vote, which is why Measure T is on the ballot in Encinitas in November. And what I say to people when I'm on the campaign trail is, look, vote with your heart. You know, the reason we have Prop A is you can go in there in November, and if you don't want this, if you think there's a better plan for us to get in compliance with state law, go ahead and vote no. But the truth is, I don't think there's a better plan, and this represents the community's best option for complying with state law. It distributes it fairly, the housing requirement or the
zoning issue.
It distributes the zoning units fairly among all of our communities.
I see.
It's less than 1% of Encinitas. And there are safeguards for community character built in, and it doesn't approve a single project. That's what I keep telling people. People say, oh, what about traffic? And I say, oh, it doesn't approve a single project. All that still has to go to the Planning Commission, still has to be, and can still appeal to City Council.
But I do want to ask more broadly about housing, because you know that California is facing a housing crunch. I mean, we can put prices aside, but at this point, we're not building enough houses for the need. We need 250,000 a year. We're building 100,000 a year. And in coastal communities, it just works. And so is Encinitas looking at building more housing, with Measure T in the background?
Well, I think, Measure T also doesn't require any property owner to choose it. And so property owners are going to have their own incentive. The market will, that market demand will drive property owners to build more or less housing as they see fit. And so it's not the job of the city really to build that housing. That is just giving property owners the choice between the two.
I want to talk about your grandparents, your great-grandparents.
Yeah.
You said that your family's been in Encinitas for 90 years.
Yeah.
What would they think? What would they do if they heard that their granddaughter or great-granddaughter may be on the city council of Encinitas, California?
I think they'd be very proud, because my great-grandfather he ran for city council in El Paso before they moved to California in the 20s. So he had run for city council, and he was on the school board in El Paso. And then he was on the water district, San Diego Water District Board, Water Authority Board. He was the president for several years.
So it's in the blood.
It's in the blood.
I don't know if you know Catherine Blakespeare, who's running for mayor. Her grandfather ran for city council and lost. And that was, 50 years ago. So apparently there's a tradition of civic involvement amongst the current leaders of Encinitas.
I think, I think that stems from something, is that Encinitas is a special place, not only because it's beautiful, because the people that live there are really passionate about their community. And people like Catherine and I, we have deep family roots in Encinitas.
And we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Her name is Tasha Boerner Horvath. She's a candidate for City Council in Encinitas. I'm Brad Pomerance, Local Edition.